morning. Last class we studied what the dimensionless quantities E theta, F theta, and what are the uses of E theta, F theta, and and also we had studied lot of different plots, the concentration versus time plot for a PF and MF with pulse input, Okay. Yeah. Now let me tell you a story. What is that story? That story is to connect why did you learn all these things, what did you learn in last class, right? The patterns, and what do you actually understand from those patterns. Okay. So let me start with one packed bed. What happened, there was a startup and a packed bed was designed. Okay. And in this packed bed, they had carried out RTD experiments. And when they had carried out RTD experiments, what had happened is RTD experiments were carried out and they had plotted C of t versus t curve. So this yielded a nature in this way. So when they came across this nature, so looking at this nature, what do you understand? The reason there may be some non-ideality. Because of non-ideality only, there are two channels. Two channels will give this type of loops. There may be channeling happening in the packed bed. So, finally, looking at these loops, looking at the RTD nature, what they had obtained from their experimental results, they just guessed it may be channeling what is happening inside the reactor. So, then did was they just opened the packed bed, and when they opened the packed bed, they could see there was a problem in the packing. Something like this was packed. There was a problem in the packing, and the reactant fluid, whatever was going, was just going, making a channel and passing. It was just making a channel by itself, and it was just passing. Okay, and there was also a problem with packing material. The packing material was not packed properly. What the packing material were not organized or arranged properly. They could find out that, and then they corrected it, and then worked out. Okay, and then the packed bed started working well. So this was a story of a startup which had used a packed bed. So you hope you now got why do you need to study an RTD as soon as you design an experiment, as soon as you design equipment, as soon as you design an equipment, you have to study RTD. Look at this concentration versus time curve. With your experience, if you are working in the industry for longer period, no, looking at the nature only, we can analyze. Okay, this is exactly what is happening inside the reactor. It is just like a very expert doctor. He just checks your pulse rate, and he will be able to analyze many things, diagnose many things in the what is happening, many things which results in the illness. Okay? So in the same way, you could do that. Okay. So, now the channeling was corrected by changing the packing material, and they are organizing the packing material properly. Next, if there are dead zones, suppose I am carrying out the experiment in an MF. In an MF, if I am carrying out the experiment, okay. So, what are dead zones? Dead zones are the reactants will come, and these are the dead zones. So during my experiment, I have conducted the experiment and I have plotted the curve, and what will be the curve for if there are dead zones? It is again C of t versus t curve, and the t observed will be less than t theoretical. That is, the tracer is passing out at a faster rate. Tracer will be coming out at a faster rate. The reason for that is this: it may be bypassing or dead zones. Okay. So if there are dead zones, how to minimize these dead zones. How to minimize these dead zones? How to minimize this? See, you can't change this reactor only. I have already designed, and the reactor is already available to me. I can't change the entire reactor. Then how do I minimize these dead zones? That is by changing this agitator, by changing the design of the agitator. If I just change the design of the agitator, I can minimize these dead zones. Okay. Suppose there is a lot of vertex which is getting formed. If there is a lot of vertex which is getting formed, then that can be avoided by putting baffles in the reactor. In the reactor. So this is this is how what you studied in last class, how it can be applied. Okay. So now you have understood the reasons for non-ideality, and yeah, you have corrected and how you can correct those those illness for non-ideality. But next question is, what is the how do you quantify this much of illness is present in the reactor? Or suppose I say suppose I say 10 liter should have been processed, but 5 is getting processed. I don't how do I quantify that? Or how do I find out the extent of non-ideality? So to find out this extent of non-ideality, models are being developed. Models are being developed. Okay. So I will give you one example. Suppose digestive system is one. I'll just take one example here. So I'll just take an example of our digestive system only. Digestive system. Suppose this digestive system, this is a reactor. I consider this as a reactor for me. Okay. And this reactor, okay, I can find out the concentration versus time or whatever happens. But if I want to model this, digestive system, I can approximate that as a mixed flow followed by a plug flow. Digestive system can be approximated as a mixed flow followed by a plug flow, and equations will be developed accordingly. To find the conversion, or to find the concentration at the exit. And then by doing so, by developing those equations and by comparing the what actually happens in the real reactors, we can find out the extent of non-ideality. Okay. So models for non-ideality, this can be measured on an analytical scale in this way. Usually these models, though, they are approximated from PF to MF. If the flow approaches approximately a plug flow, then the models developed are, there are two models developed if the flow is very near to plug flow, and they are axial dispersion model or tanks in series model. And if the flow is approximately near to MF, then we will be approximating recirculating models. Recirculation models. And if it is in between, or it sometimes it is PF connected to MF. PF connected to MF. Example, you had seen that one curve which showed you PF. Yeah. Let me take that example. Let me just recollect it, what we had done. See, if depending on the length of the tube, if the length of the inlet tube and the outlet tube are larger, then we had approximated that as a PF followed by MF. a PF followed by MF. What is the nature what we had actually got for this? Yeah. So when this was the case, there was a delay. There was a delay, and then the flow approximated for MF. If you plot C of t versus t. So when you have such cases, we have such cases, then the models what we use for these cases are compartment models. Compartment models. Okay. So now, what is the actual procedure? What is the actual procedure? Actual procedure is conduct RTD experiments. Conduct RTD experiments. So next step is after conducting the experiments, we will be plotting C of t versus t curve. Plot C of t versus t to identify the illness. To identify the illness. Okay. So now you have identified the illness. Okay. And this concentration, whatever you are plotting, no, this concentration, whatever is coming out, this concentration did not account for dead zones. It didn't account for dead zones. It didn't account for channeling. It didn't account for bypassing, short circuiting. All these things were not accounted. But what I actually now do, I'll try to develop models. These models, when I'm developing these models, no, I will account for all these things, dead zones, channeling, all these things, and develop an equation to find the concentration at the exit. Suppose I had, let me give one example where there was an MF. There was an MF and there was pulse input for the tracer. And for this you had developed an equation. What is that? V into C is equal to input is equal to output is output is V into dc by dt plus accumulation is 0, and you had developed an equation for this. What is that? C is equal to C naught e to the power of minus t by t bar. You had developed one equation like this. Okay. Now what we are actually doing? We are doing similar material balance. But when I am doing material balances like this, I will also account for the whatever happens here. I will also account for the dead zones or channeling or dispersion, and then develop the equations, to find the value for, find the expression for concentration. So when I develop the models and I'll find the concentration. Now what I have done. So this is just one example what I have given. This is just one example. But when we develop the models, no, they are much complicated equations. I'll be showing one such model. Okay. One such model, and the models, suppose from the experiment I have obtained C of t values. Okay, but from model, and I developed the model for it, and I developed a model which will mimic the real reactor. I have developed the model and I have found an expression for C of t. Okay. So now if I measure the deviation, this gives me the extent of non-ideality. So that is how the models will help us to find out the extent of, or quantify the non-ideality. So okay. So here in your syllabus, we will be studying only single parameter model. There are single parameter models, multi-parameter models. So many models have been developed. Yeah, but in your syllabus, we will be studying two models: axial dispersion model and tanks in series model. Axial dispersion model and tanks in series model. Okay. So these are single parameters single parameter models. These are single parameter models. Single parameter models. Okay. So these are single parameter models. Now, now, yeah. So you now got overall idea of what is modeling, what is models for non-ideal reactors. Okay. Yeah. Let me go for modeling. Axial dispersion model. Let me start with axial dispersion model. Axial dispersion model. Okay. So let me consider an ideal PF now. For an ideal PF, if I take the velocity profile is this, and there is inlet and outlet. Whereas for a non-ideal PF, if I take the same inlet and outlet, I take, and you can see the profile in this way. The profile in this way. So now if I try to plot the concentration versus time, I'll just try to plot it versus distance now. Along with the length, I'll try to plot distance x and time. What have I plotted? Okay, distance I'll take. Distance as well as time also. Time also you can plot. So at the end, then suppose I'll plot it at the time only. Time and along with the distance. So at the inlet, at time t is equal to 0, it's just a pulse input, ideal condition. At time t is equal to 0, it's a pulse input, ideal condition. Now at this point, it's a Gaussian. Okay. And at this point, it gets skewed. Skewed is like this, something like this, shown like this. So, yeah. This is how we show. This is skewed Gaussian ideal. This is Dirac delta function. Actually, I can say that as Dirac delta function. Dirac delta function. Okay. So now let me start with unsteady balance. This is an unsteady state. This tracer, whatever I'm giving here, no, this is an unsteady state condition. So let me do the tracer balance for an unsteady PF, unsteady state PF. Okay. So you just recollect what you did in your ideal PF. Then I'll go to the exact derivation. What is that you had got? Input is equal to output DFA, and no accumulation, and rate of disappearance is minus RA into V, and you had cancelled this and you had written as minus DFA is equal to V into minus RA can be written as minus DCA by DT. Okay. So but here in this this concentration is a function of time and distance. So in second, concentration is a function of concentration is a function. See, if I check the concentration here, no, concentration is a function of time as well as the distance. So I can no more use DC. I have to go with dou C. So if there are more than two parameters involved, I can no more use DC. It should be dou C. So here concentration is a function of time and distance. So now this equation for an unsteady state. So this is for a steady state, ideal and steady state. So if I do the tracer balance for unsteady state, tracer balance for a PF, unsteady balance of tracer for a PF. For a PF, if I do know what I get is minus this analogously I'll write minus dou ft by dou z is equal to AC into dou C by dou T. This is what I get. And this C I'll call Concentration of the tracer. T is used to denote tracer. T is used to denote tracer. What is Ft? What is F here? Molar feed rate. Molar feed rate. And Z is the distance. Z is the distance. T is the time. I'll define the quantities here. Z, distance. Ct. Ct says concentration of tracer. Tracer. Small t is time. And AC is cross-sectional area. AC is the cross-sectional area. And yeah, Ft is a molar feed rate. Ft is a molar feed rate. Okay. So this molar feed rate. Now let us discuss more about this molar feed rate. Molar feed rate. How did you find molar feed rate? F is equal to V into C for an ideal reactor. For an ideal reactor, F is equal to V into C. But here now, this concentration. First of all, this concentration is a variable. Concentration is a function of time and distance. And this volumetric flow rate, no? Volumetric flow rate. See, Ft is Ft here. Ft this is just V into C. But here Ft, no. This Ft depends on, Ft is no more a function if it is due to convection and dispersion. Here it is due to both convection and dispersion. So what will this term be for? This term Ft be now. This term Ft will be, this term Ft is written as UAC into C, same. This is along this term I am writing. See, this V into C, U into AC is nothing but this V only. You will get the same units. This U if you multiply, U is what? Velocity, and A is cross-sectional area. If you multiply this, you will get the same units as volumetric feed rate. So U A into CT. This is due to convection. But along with this convection, there is one more term here. Which is due to dispersion. Ft. Oh, 1 second. FTD. I'll differentiate. FTD due to dispersion. So this Ft is due to convection as well as dispersion. Convection is due to variation in velocity, and dispersion is due to diffusion or diffusivity. Dispersion is due to diffusivity. Now this dispersion, FTD, the dispersion is due to diffusion, I said, and this I'll just write one equation which is analogous to Fick's law of diffusion, what you have already studied in your mass transfer. So what is it? Fick's law of diffusion. I'll write this as FTD is equal to minus dA AC into dou C by dou Z it is. Concentration gradient. There is a variation, concentration gradient. Okay. What is dA now? dA in Fick's law of diffusion, it is diffusivity coefficient. Here it is effective diffusivity coefficient. What do you mean by effective diffusivity coefficient? I call this dA as effective diffusivity coefficient. Diffusivity coefficient. What does this account for? This accounts for molecular diffusion plus convective diffusion. Molecular diffusion plus convective diffusion. So what are these molecular diffusion? What are this convective diffusion? What is this? More about this can be explained by Knudsen diffusivity coefficient, which you will be studied in your heterogeneous reaction system. What CRE, what you are studying now is homogeneous. So this more about this you will be studying in heterogeneous reaction. But for now, let you just know this dA. dA is not just diffusivity coefficient as you see in Fick's law of diffusion. It is effective diffusivity coefficient. And what do you mean by effective diffusivity coefficient? It accounts for molecular diffusion as well as convective diffusion. Now, let me rub this. Let me rub this part. Next step, what I'll now do is, see, this FTD I'll substitute here, and this total FT I'll be substituting here. So, FT. So it is, now this, why is this not writing? Okay. This FT will now be U AC CT plus FTD. FTD is minus dA AC dou C by dou Z. Now I'll just substitute this FT in this equation. So this will now be dou of dou Z into U AC CT minus dA AC dou C by dou Z. Dou Z is equal to AC into dou CT by dou T. Dou small t. Dou T. Now the equation, this equation will now be, oh, I just left this minus, yeah, minus. So this will now be dA, AC everywhere I'll just cancel that AC. So it is dA into dou square, it is, okay, dou CT. And dA, here also it will be dou CT only. Dou CT, okay. Dou square CT by dou Z minus dou of UCT by dou Z is equal to dou CT by dou T. Lot of work is being done on this equation. Many researchers have worked on this equation. Suppose rotary kilns, developing equations or finding the concentrations from rotary kilns, fast fluidized beds. Many researchers have almost around more, you get many number of papers on the same equation. Using this equation, many researchers have worked. Now, getting the dimensionless form of this equation. Okay, before getting the dimensionless form, no, let me explain you some boundary conditions. There are something called as open vessel, closed open vessel, open closed vessel, closed open vessel. There are so many cases possible. So let me first explain, and here I'll be finally giving the equations for closed system and open system. Suppose I have a PF here. See, along with this length, this dA is effective diffusivity coefficient. If this effective diffusivity coefficient is greater than 0 along the length, and this is 0 at the outlet, I'll call this as outlet, and I'll call this as inlet. And if dA is equal to 0 at the inlets, inlet and outlet, and dA is greater than 0, along with the length, note what does that mean? dA is equal to 0. What does that mean? It means there is no dispersion at the inlet. This dA is equal to 0 means no dispersion at the inlet. So this approximates closed vessel. This is not approximating, this is a closed vessel. Next case, so this is to make you understand what is closed vessel and open vessel. Next one I'll consider, wherein dA is greater than 0 here, dA is greater than 0 here, and dA is greater than 0 here also. This is open vessel. Open vessel. So here, now you have understood. Okay, I don't need these things anymore. I can rub this. Now you have understood an equation. You have developed a differential equation here. You have to solve this differential equations. How do you solve this differential equations? We have to put the boundary conditions. So for putting the boundary conditions, I'll differentiate here. I'll be considering two cases. There are many cases, but here I'll be considering two cases: a closed vessel and an open vessel. Of course, for open vessel, I'll just give the equation, and for closed vessel, I'll explain you how to get the boundary conditions. Let us consider closed vessel. Closed vessel. And see here, let me just take a section. See, this is at 0 inlet. Inlet I'll call as 0 minus, and at time t. And here this is plus 0 inlet. See, f of t inlet is equal to f of t outlet. So I said, how do we write f of t? UA into CT. F is V into C for an ideal case, but for a non-ideal case, and for this case, it is Ft is equal to UACT. So inlet I can write happily FU UAC CT. But outlet, no, outlet along with this UACT, there is something else, that is dispersion. That is, there is diffusivity or dispersion. So I have to consider that term as well. So along with and when I write this UACT at the inlet, no, UACT at the inlet I denote as 0 minus and T, and this will be equal to outlet UACT 0 plus T, and now I have to write one more term here, and that is plus CT 0 plus T. Oh, one second. UACT. I have to account for this diffusivity, right? Fick's law of diffusion, and that is minus AC. This is all AC only, cross sectional area. ACDA diffusivity ACDA, dou CT by dou Z. I have to account for this term as well. AC dA into dou CT by dou Z. Make a note of that. Yes. So now the inlet boundary conditions. So inlet, let me rewrite this equation here. dA dou square CT by dou Z minus dou U CT by dou Z is equal to dou CT by dou T. So the inlet boundary condition is CT is equal to CT naught is equal to minus dA by U dou CT by dou Z at Z is equal to 0 plus CT into 0 T, and the outlet boundary condition is at the outlet dA is equal to 0, CT this is L minus 1, which will be equal to CT L plus. So here dou C, finally I can write dou CT by dou Z is equal to 0. Okay, so yeah, now I have got one equation in terms of concentration, and I have got the boundary conditions. 2-3 equations we have developed. Okay, now what I will now do is I will just consider the dimensionless forms of these equations. Dimensionless forms of this equation, this, and as well as this. For all the 3 equations, I'll write the dimensionless forms. So for writing these dimensionless forms, let me just explain you the what we have to consider to write those dimensionless forms. Okay, So the dimensionless form is for concentration. For concentration, I'll be using psi, which is equal to Ct by Ct naught. Am I correct? Yeah. Ct by Ct naught. And for distance, I'll be using Z by L, And for time, I'll be using theta. For time, I'll be using theta. Let me just write that little smaller. Lambda is equal to Z by L. This is for distance, and for time it is T by T pi. Theta is equal to, sorry, Tu by L. Just miss that. Tu by L. Tu by L. Tu by L. Okay. So now what I will do, I have got these expressions. Here. So this equation 1 I'll get using these dimensionless forms for concentration, distance and time. I'll just try to substitute those values here and get the dimensionless form of this equation. And it reduces to, it is just 1 into L by U. 1 into L by U, and the equation reduces to dA by L square, dou square psi by dou lambda square minus U by L dou square psi by dou lambda is equal to dou psi by dou T. 1 second. Okay, let me not do multiplying that by L by U. Get the equation as, 1 second. Let me not multiply that here only. Okay, now I'll multiply dou psi by dou T. What I have done is I have just divided that equation, very first equation, by Ct naught. Just divided that by Ct naught, and this is the equation what I get. Now multiply this by this equation, you multiply by L by U, and finally the equation reduces to dA by UL dou square psi by dou lambda square UL dou square psi by dou lambda minus dou square psi by dou lambda is equal to dou psi by dou theta. See, this T became theta. Okay. Yeah. So before getting the dimensionless forms of these equations, let me discuss on D by UL. What is this D by UL? This D by UL is known as dispersion number. D by UL is known as dispersion number. And what is this? What are these terms? Effective diffusivity coefficient. D is effective. dA I have used here, right? So effective diffusivity coefficient. U is velocity. And L is length of reactor. Here, I will now again define one more new term, one more dimensionless term called as Peclet number. The spelling is P-E-C-L-A-T. T is silent there, so it's Peclet number. So this Peclet number is UL by dA. This is Peclet number. This is a new term. For you now. UL by dA, Peclet number. This is a new term. UL by dA, Peclet number. What is this UL by dA? Let me explain. Okay, this terms I can rub, and I'll write all these things in a smaller. I'll just write the little smaller and try to explain here only. Peclet number is PE is UL by D. dispersion number is d by ul. Number is d by ul, which is equal to 1 by pe. 1 by p. If you remember this also, it is fine, and if you remember this also, it is fine. Anything is fine. And what is this ul by d? It is rate of transport by convection. Rate of transport, ul is, u is velocity, so it is rate of transport by convection by rate of transport by diffusion. By diffusion. Okay. So now let us discuss more about this Peclet number. This Peclet number, no? Peclet number, if I say this is infinity, when this can be infinity? When this d is very, very low. What do you understand by dA very, very low? Dispersion is very, very low. If dispersion is very, very low, then it approaches PF. It approaches PF. If Peclet is infinity, then when do you get this PE infinity? If dA is very, very less. That is, dispersion is very, very low. Then it approaches PF. Whereas if Peclet number is 0, then if Peclet number is 0, when do you get this Peclet number 0? Then lot of mixing. There is lot of dispersion or mixing. It is MF. It is MF. And the vice versa. If you write in terms of d by ul, dispersion number. So this, if vessel dispersion number d by ul is infinity. If d by ul is infinity, then it is MF. And if d by ul is infinity, correct. And if d by ul is 0, it is PF. The dispersion number for a PF is 0. Okay. So now, so we have discussed this part. The next part is, I was just discussing about getting dimensionless forms. Dimensionless forms for, of course, I have obtained one dimensionless form for this equation. Now, time to find the dimensionless equation for the boundary conditions. Dimensionless forms for the boundary conditions. So next, what I'll try to do now, I'll just take this equation, and wherever this ul by d, I'll try to replace that by the dimensionless number what we have obtained, the Peclet number. So let me just rub this, and this equation will now be in terms of Peclet number. I can write this equation as, written this equation, yeah. So this equation can be written as, yes, it is 1 by, this term will become 1 by PE dou square psi by dou lambda square minus dou square psi by dou lambda is equal to dou psi by dou theta. Dou psi by dou theta. Okay. Now, how do we get the dimensionless? In terms of Peclet number, what will this equation be, and what will this equation be? Okay. So this boundary condition, this is your main differential equation. And boundary conditions. So first, what I'll do now, this equation, I'll divide this entire equation by CT naught, and in the LHS I'll get 1. So this is d minus 1 is equal to minus dA by CT naught u and 1. Okay. So and the equation will now be, boundary condition 1 will now be minus 1 by PE dou psi by dou lambda plus psi is equal to 1. And boundary condition 2 will now become, dou psi by dou lambda is equal to 0. So we have to solve these equations. We have to solve these equations. Of course, you need not solve. Now what I'll do, you need not solve these equations. I'll give the solutions. If you remember those solutions, it will be sufficient. So solutions for those equations are how to find c theta, how to find e theta, and how to find d by ul, everything. If you have when you were you by now you know what is e theta. So if you have e theta, you can find the value for d by ul, or if you have d by ul. So let me just write the equations for finding c theta. You need not worry about the solutions or the procedure for the getting the solutions here. This will be sufficient. Ct will be equal to 1 by 2 root of pi by Pe exponential minus 1 minus theta square by 4 Pe. 4 Pe. Yeah, and now I'll try to plot concentration versus time plot for this. But here I'll be taking psi versus theta. Okay. So when theta is equal to 1, no, then the graph is almost a spike here. And I said if the dispersion is larger, then it tends towards MF. So yeah, you can, if PE is 0, if PE is 0, you get approximately a PF. I had stated just now, no? So if PE is 0, you get the nature like this. Okay? But as the value for PE goes on increasing, see, the nature is in this way. Of course, this peak should be shown little higher. Okay, yeah. So this is fine. So suppose next peak in this way, and the next peak closely it is approaching. So here it is theta is equal to 1, and here PE is infinity, or d by ul is 0. D by ul is 0. And suppose the Peclet number here, I will call that as 5, and here it is 1000. It goes on, the Peclet number goes on increasing, and at infinity it is approximating plug flow. At infinity it is approximating plug flow. Now how to get Peclet number from E curve? Suppose when you are conducting the experiment, you will get E curves. You know how to get C curve, how to get E curve. Okay, all that is been taught. Now how to get Peclet number from this E curve? Yes. So these equations, what I write now, if you just remember these equations, it is sufficient. This is a bit complicated model. These plug flow models are a bit complicated models only. Tangent series model, what we'll study next, is a bit simpler model. Yeah. So let me write those equations. To get Peclet number by knowing the value of E theta. Okay. So let me start with a closed vessel. Closed, and it is sigma square by T bar square is equal to 1 by lambda square 0 to infinity T minus lambda square E of T dt. See, T bar or tau are same. Unless it is a constant density system. Or this will be sigma square by T bar square is equal to 2 by Pe minus 2 by Pe square into 1 minus e to the power of minus. Just remember this equation, it is sufficient. And for an open vessel, open vessel, this equation will be sigma square by T bar square is equal to 2 by PE plus 8 by PE square. So if you know the PE number, Peclet number, you can also find if you know the value for E, the E curve. Okay. Yes. So this is about axial dispersion model. Next we will be continuing with another model, a single parameter model, the Tanks in series model. Yes. Thank you.